Here tonight for Meet Me at the 50, featuring Joey Blaze and Coach Crow. Coach Crow, welcome to the show.
Hey, show number one. What's up, Joey?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. It's a good night. How are you doing?
I am great. How you feeling?
Feeling wonderful, man. Ready for football season, even if it's only about to be spring, because we play
Hey,
year round in this game.
yes, you do. And like I said, last year, we weren't able to do the spring. And so this year, spring season should be interesting. A lot of great teams out there. And a lot of players are itching to really get at it.
Indeed, indeed. We are looking forward to the upcoming spring season in semi-pro football. We got a lot of things to talk about tonight, Crow. It's been a long month already
Yeah.
since the passing of the Sunshine Bowl. And while not all the teams have returned to the field yet, we got an idea of how some of them look going into this year.
Yeah, we got there's some power rankings out. We'll go over those in a minute. We got preseason action. We got some scores we're going to touch on. It's a whole lot going on in semi-pro. Leagues making moves, teams making moves, players making moves. So it's a lot of moves. Like I said, it wasn't a spring season last year, so this spring, just about anything is going to happen. You can't. It's unpredictable.
Indeed, indeed. And, for a lot of guys who played last year, it's back to work as normal. But you got to consider with COVID and everything else, there were a lot of guys in the game who set out last year. And for some of them, they've missed over a year of ball.
Yeah, that's going to play a factor. I mean, the better teams, you think across the country, probably got a lot of those guys back a few months early, got into their practices, got into, their routine and got those guys in shape. And there's some teams that's just going to be playing catch up, and that's the unpredictability of semi-pro football sometimes. You never know what you're going to get. You can have a great team a year prior, and then the next year they didn't prepare as well, and they're looking from the outside in. So it's very unpredictable. And like I said, without having a 2020 season, 2021 is going to have some fireworks. There will be some upsets.
Indeed. We are looking forward to what I feel will be an outstanding 2021 semi-pro season. And not even just semi-pro, we're a week away from the beginning of NFL free agency.
Yeah. I mean, I think we got that slated for later part in the show, but there's already been some moves that you're like, oh, okay. And we're gonna get into some of those moves in a little bit, especially when we talk about that $160 million contract for Dak Prescott. Was it 160?
Oh, I think it was. I think it was 4 years, 160. So you're looking at an average of $40 million a year to Dak Prescott, plus the incentives. We can't forget about the incentives.
Yeah.
So could be in that contract.
So we're definitely going to get into that tonight, people, and really dive into that contract and why he got that contract, and and see if anybody agrees with me or see if you agree with Joey. Either way, we're going to touch on that subject tonight. So before we go any further, let's do a little quick recap of some scores in semi-pro this weekend. Across the nation, a lot of folks are sending the scores to American Football News today. And they send those scores in, and we pulled a few of the scores that we found to be interesting from the various different leagues. So if you want your score shouted out on here, or you had a game you really want to highlight, get with either me or Joey throughout the course of the week after the weekend's games, and let us know about these games so we can highlight those games, highlight those scores, and maybe even highlight your favorite players from those games. With that being said, Joey, let me get into this first score. From the ECFA, that's the East Coast Football Association, we had an upset in preseason action where the Baltimore Lightning beat the Windland Tigers 16-12. Let me tell you, that honestly was an upset for a lot of different people. The Lightning, they played a lot of football in 2020, probably played more games than anybody in 2020. And frankly, they were an up and down team and ended with a sub 500 record. But after their first 3 preseason games, these guys are 2-1 and looking to improve. What do you think we can expect from them this year after coming off of such a rough season and starting so hot now?
I'll tell you, first year watching them, having a chance to see them last year, they definitely showed they could compete in the ECFA. They have what it takes. But you talk about what you said earlier to begin the broadcast. It is a year-to-year process. And, I go back to an old saying. I remember Lou Holtz said this quote one time: every team is different every week.
That's true. Absolutely. And the Lightning have shown that. There have been some flashes of greatness in 2020, and then they go out the next week and have a tough outing. But this one, like I said, they started off this season with a loss in Atlanta, but the last two, it really showed their mettle. So shout out to the Baltimore Lightning, and I know the Woodland Tigers are going to clean it up. See what other scores were interesting this weekend. We had some NEAFL action and against the AFA. So we had the Tri-County Owls versus the Franklin County Tigers, and Owls won this one 14-12. I seen, had an opportunity to coach against both teams. Both teams are well ran. The Owls are ran by Lester Cream, and then you got the Tigers ran by Joseph and Coach Cortez. So both teams are proud organizations. The Tigers have definitely come a long way over the years. They used to be the doormats of semi-pro, and they're not that anymore. But they took an L here this week against Tri-County Owls. Now, is this more of an upset that the Owls didn't score more, or it shows where Franklin County has really grown? What do you think?
I think it depends, because you talk about this being mostly a preseason game from what I was told locally here.
Right.
You come with different mindsets depending on your opponents. The idea is always to win, but we don't really know what went on in the coaching. Were they going 100? Were they going 50?
Right.
Because preseason's preseason. You want to test out some things more so. Winning's cool. Winning is always going to be cool. But you want to focus your best stuff to when you're doing your regular season games and your postseason work, because giving away so much early on could result in film being on you and everything else. And that's something that you don't want early on, is to give away too much.
Right, definitely.
And you know very well that if someone did film it, which I've seen that the Tigers do film their games, if an opponent of the Owls got a hold of that footage and they showed too much, because on that hill, you see everything.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. If you give away too much, it could really come back and bite you later on down the road.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It's probably a product of the Owls. Hey, they took an early lead. Hey, let's work on some stuff. Like I said, Lester usually holds quite a bit of players, so he probably got everybody in. And then, of course, the Tigers were probably working on the things they needed to work on. But that was good preseason action for both teams. Both teams are very proud organizations. See what else we got here in play. Oh, so the Postal Football Alliance opened up their regular season this past weekend. That league is ran by Commissioner Zelzita Boyd. Shout out to Zelzita. And she had 3 games this weekend. She had the Triad Assassins beat the South Carolina Kings 34-0. So that was they got at them. And then you had the Fayetteville Commandos who beat the Carolina Bears 16-2. And then you had the Fayetteville Ducks who beat the Carolina Punishers 14-12. So I'm a little surprised at that last score. The Fayetteville Ducks, I thought they had a little bit more of a high-powered offense against those Punishers. There's a lot of things, like you said, when it comes down to that first game of the season. There's a lot of nerves involved. You don't know exactly how your guys are going to react. And like we were saying earlier, hey, COVID played a part. So look at this again, surprised by that score. But the Fayetteville Commandos also surprised me with their score, because they played the Baltimore Saints a couple of weeks ago, scored 16 points, and then they played the Carolina Bears this week and scored the same 16 points. So these guys are coming off a Sunshine Bowl win. You feel like they're lagging a little bit coming off a high, or is just maybe a early season jitters? What can we say is going on with the Fayetteville Commandos and their low scoring after they usually are high scoring?
See, that's the thing. The hardest thing for me is, like, how many of the guys did they have from what they had in the Sunshine Bowl? Because, you go back to the Sunshine Bowl, they were absolutely dominant in that game they played. I think it was like 44-19 was the final.
Something like that. Yeah, it was. Yeah. They put up some points.
They just absolutely gave it to them. They were just dominant all around. It could be a letdown. It also could be early season, because, like I always say, with certain teams, depending on the magnitude of the game, your approach, your philosophy is always going to be different. And of course, what you're looking to get out of it. Um,
Right.
I like to hear from the commandos, see what was up. Maybe there's something going on in the camp. Maybe it's them just trying to figure some stuff out they want to do. I think as we get on into this season, we're going to have a better idea because, it's kind of like last year, but not like last year.
Last year. Right.
Yeah. There's
Right.
more wild cards to this year because you got a lot of returning players, you got returning teams, guys who may have been playing there before. They might have had their home team come back and they might go back to their home team because, there were a lot of teams who did not get a chance to play last year because the organizations didn't feel safe. And
So
when you
that's
have
a
that,
good point,
everybody
Joy.
there's a free agent essentially.
That's a good point, Joey. There's a few teams that were able to stack up per se in the summer fall season because teams did not return. So maybe that could be what the Fayetteville Commandos are dealing with is that they were kind of stacked up for that season, and some of those guys maybe went back to their home teams. But we'll see. We'll watch the Fayetteville Commandos as they go through the season in the CFA and see how it pans out. Let's do a couple more scores and then we'll move on. So we're going down to Florida, to the Florida Football. No, it's the Federation Football Alliance. I think they changed their name. So I'm gonna go with Florida Football Alliance for now. You guys can correct me later. But so we're gonna go to the Florida Football Alliance. We'll read off a couple of these scores here. So the South Florida Gate Gladiators, they won 15-6 over the Golden Isle Grizzlies. The Miami Magic City Bulls, they beat the Miami Chiefs 6-0. And then you got the Dade County Raiders who beat the Florida Stingrays 12-8. So Florida football is hot and heavy, and it's running pretty well. Two of their top teams, the Gladiators and the Magic City Bulls, they keep on getting wins. And I've seen a couple scores for the last few weeks, and I think it's what we're saying before. Some teams may be kind of filling themselves out because they're winning. They're both undefeated, but their scores are so low. So it seems like right now, offense in these early part of the spring season is taking a back seat. What do you think about the offenses? Do you think it's just jitters, or are the defenses really that good?
I think a lot of it is early on in the season. If you haven't played in a while, it takes time to gel. You look at professional sports and how at the beginning of the year the offenses look rough about any sort of preseason. We've seen that the last on several occasions, really, where
Mm-hmm.
you have low scoring games. I feel like a lot of it is you got to feel each other out. You got to get your chemistry back down. Offense is something that as the season goes on, like defense, it will improve. It will gel.
Right.
Or in some cases, maybe they don't have what it takes. It's a team by team basis, really, when you look at it, because
Yep.
in some teams' cases, they can just pick up the ball and they're back on the field tomorrow, good to go. But in other teams' cases, maybe you got some new pieces here. You go back to how important O-line chemistry is.
Mm.
I have a few new big guys in there who aren't used to each other yet, so they have to figure out how to play with each other. To me, it always varies on what the circumstances of the teams are. And, a lot of these teams, they don't talk openly. They don't try to give things away too much. Because at the end of the day, unless you see a number that's associated with a player, a lot of teams will, if they don't have the guys, put out guys out there who they know are good.
Right.
But all you see as an opponent is somebody in a helmet that you can't make out their face in,
Right.
and in a jersey that you know the number, but there's no name on the back.
There's
So
no name. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
unknown,
So
and that's a lot
new
of things
adventure.
about it. There's a lot of unknowns when it comes to football, especially when the talent is so spread out across the country.
Definitely. And speaking across the country, let's do like two more scores. And out of the APDFL, which is ran by Mr. Bernard Hunt. Shout out to Bernard Hunt. You got the Metro Atlanta Horsemen who won 30-6 over the Georgia Crusaders. And then you got the Garden City Seahawks, I think out of South Carolina, who beat the Atlanta Tigers 14-6. So the Metro Atlanta Horsemen actually played in the Dirty Bowl this year and lost to the RVA Tomahawks. And it looks like they took that loss very seriously because they bounced back pretty good this week. And then you got the Garden City Seahawks, who are usually pretty good in the APDFL, who took care of the Atlanta Tigers, who just got a win over those Baltimore Lightning that we spoke of earlier. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a week-to-week league. It's a week-to-week semi-pro. So, at the end of the day, hey, you got to play to win. You got to play to win, and at the end of the day, you're trying to get that league championship, and hopefully you do well enough when you're invited to the national championships. So, with that being said, I think that's it for scores, Joey. What we got next?
What we got next, Coach Crow? Let me tell you something that's been a topic of discussion across the league, the National Football League, the last couple of days. The Dak Prescott signing by the Cowboys on terms of contract extension. That is finalized, ironed out. 4 years, $160 million. That's $40 million a year. And as somebody who, as a Rams fan, sat through the Jared Goff contract at $33 million,
right?
Man, I'm so happy we signed Goff first. That was a hot button topic in 2019,
right?
Whether or not who was going to sign their rookie quarterback first between us and the Cowboys. Philly committed with Wentz. We go back to that class of 2016. Man, oh man, look at where everything is now.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah,
I will say all three guys got paid. Dak, Carson,
all three got
Jared,
paid.
All got paid.
All three are really good quarterbacks. But with Dak, I think I've never seen a quarterback get paid because he got hurt.
Ooh, you think it's because of the injury?
I've never seen a quarterback get paid because he got hurt. I wholeheartedly believe that Andy Dalton, and I can't even remember who the other quarterback was in Dallas, was so bad, and they did so bad as a team without Dak Prescott that it actually forced Jerry Jones's hands to give that kid his money. What do you think?
I think it's a case where, we're in a period of the NFL. There was a time of day, Crow. You remember this time of day. When you drafted a quarterback, you gave him a while to develop before you made him the guy. He sat behind somebody for a year, sometimes 2 years.
I.e. Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
Definitely Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. That's a great example of that. Favre and Rodgers back in the day, Green Bay took Rodgers with the idea of letting him sit behind Favre and groom him. And, in some cases that works, but in other cases it doesn't work. With Favre and Rodgers, that created some friction, which I feel like is why a lot of teams nowadays tend to try to stay away from that, simply for the fact that they don't want to, in their case, go and I guess the way to look at it is
alienate your starting quarterback.
Yes, because if somebody sits forever and they're a first-round pick, you got to think like the days of a first-round pick. Aaron Rodgers, he didn't start till his fourth season. That is his fourth year that we saw Aaron Rodgers a quarterback.
Right.
Whereas in other cases like Alex Smith, he was thrown out there a little bit after he started. So even with Rodgers, there was a lot of tension between him and Favre in Green Bay. Over the fact that Brett didn't want to step away and Rodgers, he just wanted to come in and play. And, I get that because if you sit there from Aaron's perspective, that's a long time to not
That's a long time.
Yeah. You got to think like by the time Aaron Rodgers became a starter officially for Green Bay, which was in 2008, he hadn't started a game since except for the time Favre got hurt. Let's put it like that. He did start when Favre got hurt.
Right.
I remember against the Patriots, a Sunday night game they played.
Right.
And what happened there was, before that, the last time Rodgers had came out and played was back in 2004.
Oof.
Yeah, for Cal against Texas Tech in the Holiday Bowl. Yeah, that's how far you had to go back was 2004. Could you imagine a quarterback now missing 3 years like that?
Not with the lifespan of quarterbacks and NFL players today, and with the money they pay these guys. I think that's actually one of the problems with the NFL or just football, period. Everybody wants instant gratification. No one wants to coach anybody up. The days of you sitting until you're ready to play are done in the NFL. Now, I will say this. Green Bay is showing a little bit of that nostalgic way of doing things because they drafted was it Love is his name?
Cut out. Who was that?
Green Bay. They're showing a little bit of that nostalgic way for a quarterback to play. Because Green Bay just drafted a quarterback behind Aaron Rodgers, right? Love, I believe his name is.
I don't think his name.
Who's the quarterback? Anyway,
on that.
Green Bay just did the same thing.
We forget about like other players on Green Bay's quarterback position because Aaron Rodgers is the guy, and he has been for so long now. But
right.
It does feel like Jordan Love.
Jordan Love, yeah.
I had to go back and verify his first name.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Love, the Utah State product, last year in the NFL draft, 26th overall.
Right.
He went out, and it's a question of, is this the guy who's going to replace Rodgers? But is Rodgers ready to go? Is he ready to go out the door?
Not really. But again, these are some of the conversations we have, bringing it back around to Dak Prescott. I bet Dallas wish they drafted somebody to sit behind Dak or drafted somebody who could play, because last year they brought in Andy Dalton, paid him all that backup money, and he was terrible to me. Andy Dalton was bad. He was not good. He was not good.
Andy Dalton was not good. You're right. And, Andy Dalton, kind of like Dak Prescott, got that contract extension very early on in Cincinnati.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
And, when they drafted Andy, he was thrown into the scene as that guy from the very beginning of his career in the NFL.
He was placing Carson Palmer? He was replacing Carson Palmer out up there in Cincinnati. So, and Carson Palmer went on to Arizona and had a pretty good end of the career there with them. But, but Dak, is he worth the 160? Let me ask that.
Let me ask you this.
You can't answer my question.
No. Let me ask you this. What has he done to earn it? Tell me about Dak Prescott's playoff win. Tell me about it. You remember it?
I think someone called me. It's calling. I got a phone call to make. Yeah, he hasn't done much when it comes to postseason. But here's the thing. Since Troy Aikman in Dallas, what quarterback has? That's right. I'm talking about Tony Romo. I'm talking about Drew Bledsoe. Since Troy Aikman, what Dallas quarterback has done anything significant in the playoffs?
The thing was, you got to look at it. Romo and him have the same amount of playoff wins. Actually, I think Romo may have won more than
right. And that's my point. That's my point. So
that's part of where the Cowboys have been for 20 years now. Finding a starting quarterback is very difficult. The Kansas City Chiefs went until Patrick Mahomes before someone they drafted won anything at quarterback.
Right. Well, I guess my point stands, though. Do you not pay him? Do you suffer mediocrity until you find the absolute right quarterback? Or do you go with Dak so at least you can compete?
For me, I guess the way I look at it, I don't even think Dak fits Mike McCarthy's offense. That's the first thing.
Whoa, wait a minute. Stop right there. No quarterback fits Mike McCarthy's offense. He couldn't win with Aaron Rodgers.
What's the thing is his offense is very stale.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't
for an eternity.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the right now. When Aaron Rodgers, he changed coaches and then he went back to superstar status. And last year with Mike McCarthy, I think they were 7-9 or 6-10 or something that they should not be. He was getting hit a lot, so Mike McCarthy, I don't think is the best NFL coach, and I understand how he got another job, but that's neither here nor there. My point is, do you not pay Dak and suffer mediocrity, or you be a mediocre team until you can draft that Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson type franchise quarterback that's gonna extend your organization to that next level? Are you going to ascend with that quarterback? Do you wait for that, or do you pay Dak? They went with pay Dak, but should they have given Dak $160 million?
I personally don't think he deserves the richest contract in quarterback history. He doesn't. Like, I get it. You don't want mediocrity, but I'll be honest. I'd rather be mediocre and save some money than be mediocre and lose money.
Hmm.
Because you think about all the money that could go to other positions of need, because quarterback is not the only position of need for the Dallas Cowboys. You got to
They
take a
often
look at the long term. You got to take a look at the line. If you can't afford to pay linemen to protect Dak, then you're just going to have him out of football like Romo was very prematurely because of the injuries.
right, right, right. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. With after what happened last year with Andy Dalton and those guys, I just can't. I think you had to pay him, and I think that's why bring it back full circle to my point. I think he got paid because he got hurt, and it showed Dallas that they needed him more than he needed them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it at
And
that before I say something that gets me in trouble with all the folks who are Dallas fans, because I know there's probably some Dallas fans on here right now that want to choke us for even having this conversation. But we had to have this conversation. I mean, 160 million needs to be talked about.
yeah, I get
160
you.
million needs to
Yeah.
be talked about. And I'm happy for Dak. I am happy for Dak get paid. But I'm not sure 100% that I was the right thing to do. I'm gonna put it like that. Because to your point, what has Dak shown us in postseason play?
Exactly. 100% agreed. You look
Yeah,
at it, he's got, I mean, don't get me wrong, he got a win. He beat Seattle that time, but the next week they got stumped. Like they went to LA and my Rams stumped them in that playoff game. We
right,
had Todd Gurley on one leg had 100 yards rushing.
right, right.
And if your team ain't worth anything on terms of defense and your position players on your offensive side are declining, what good is that going to do without any help?
Exactly. One man band. Almost
Yeah.
like this almost like a Deshaun Watson this year in Houston.
Yeah. Man, Deshaun Watson.
He had an outstanding year,
He did.
but
Yeah.
but for what? Anyway, I think we exhausted that topic. Hit us up if you got any thoughts about it. Felt like we got it wrong. Let us know. We'll do a wrap up on it. But we're gonna move on to our next segment. So this next segment we're gonna do is our guest segment. So what we're gonna try to do each week is bring on a guest to talk about their league, what they got going on, whether it be semi-pro, high school, whatever. We're gonna try to bring on a guest every week to talk about happenings in our game. So this week we're gonna talk a little East Coast Football Association football. So that's the ECFA. So anybody knows anything about the ECFA, that's the league that I coached in and I ran for a few years. That league is now being ran by Chuck Manaugh, who's the founder of the league. So he's back running it. And then also we have one of the longtime board members of the ECFA that's coming on tonight. His name is Greg Flippins. So what we're going to talk about tonight is what's going on in that league, what's coming up with was in general and semi-pro, and there's some things that we got going on, and see where it takes us. So without further ado, you got Greg?
Meeting him in right now, and we're going to let you two host this one for the most part because I know you guys very well entrenched in the ECFA. You guys did a lot of work there the last several years. Like to see what's going on. Greg, we see your name, but we don't see a face yet.
Hold on. All right, let me start the video.
There we go. All right.
There you go.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Everybody, Greg Flippins of the ECFA,
Sure.
longtime board members, held several positions in the ECFA, from league commissioner to president at one point, vice president, several different positions. What's up with you?
Oh man, long day. That's about it. Down here.
Did you hear our conversation about Dak Prescott?
You know what? Actually, I didn't, man. I was around here wrangling these kids, getting them together to keep them from downstairs right now.
All right, we're gonna leave it alone then. We're gonna leave it alone.
What happened with that? What happened with that?
Oh, we just talked about his contract.
Well, he finally got paid.
That young brother got paid 160 million.
Well, you know, I'm a Dolphin fan, man. So I don't pay no attention to the NFC nonsense.
Indeed.
I'm an AFC man, and you know,
And
my Dolphins ain't won in so long. You know, I just kind of,
they did pretty good this year though. They 10-6, right? And a real turnaround for the organization. So nothing to sneeze at. Be proud of that.
Yeah, I just want to, I just think about how many Super Bowls we could have had at home by now.
Yeah, well, you ain't Tampa Bay. Calm down.
Right. That's all right. We'll be back. We'll be good.
Anyway, so topic at hand. ECFA football. You guys called me earlier, told me some news.
Right.
Floor is yours. Tell us what's going on in ECFA football.
All right, so we're getting ready to start the spring. Spring is pretty much set. Got the teams in for the spring or whatever. But the news for the fall is we decided to break the teams up 2A, 3A teams. So more the bigger, more established teams. Legends. Legends. And Hurricanes, Virginia Hurricanes, Baltimore Canes, Crusaders, all of the big 3A teams. We're gonna try to keep those guys together, and some of the more smaller teams, developmental teams. We want to try to keep them together and let them play each other. I think that's one thing that's kind of been missing, is that some of the smaller teams have been been getting thrown around pretty good by some of the big guys. And I think that it's time to split those teams apart, and let them play in a nice league, a competitive league to be more competitive in, and they'll still get the same structure of the bigger leagues, and with the same, get them payouts and, rings, and get them all the things that, some of the other leagues had not been offering them, and then, the way we're trying to do it is, once you win the 2A league, then you go up to battle with the big guys.
So how many times? I know you guys are still working through the criteria, and right. I'm quite sure we'll have a meeting on it and kind of work through it together. But what are some of the upfront things that, as far as once a 2A team establishes itself, how many years are you going to give them in the 2A, or how many championships are they going to be able to win before they go up? What are some of the preliminary talks about how does a team move up? Because that's one of the things that I kind of saw from the discussion. Folks really wanted to know, all right, I'm 2A, I come in, I got my 40-man roster, I'm getting better. Okay, I don't won a championship or two, whatever the case may be. What are some of the base rules that are kind of on your mind now as far as that?
Some base rules that are on my mind is, we would recommend after you win it once, you would move up.
Okay. But
if you win it twice, you gotta get off the porch and run with the big guys. You can't sit, once you, because the idea is that a lot of the small teams, they have a core, but they don't have enough to get to that 50, 60-man roster. They don't have that. So you get 40, you start winning, everybody loves a winner. You're gonna start to get more people to come on board. They get strong enough, then we want them to move up and start playing all the big teams. Mm-hmm. So I would say 2 max, but recommended if you win it once. Personally, if you win it once, you should want to move up. But if you win it twice, you gotta go. You gotta go up.
So basically, once the league is gonna say, why don't you move up? Give you an option. Twice, it's time to
go.
Time to spread your wings and fly with the big dogs.
Right.
That's actually not a bad format there. So you had mentioned a little bit about rosters. Let's talk a little bit about that. What are the proposed rosters you think should look like for a 2A team vice a 3A team? And what are some of the things that you kind of want to look for in the roster development of those teams?
Well, I would say we're limited at 40.
And that's for 2A.
For 2A, yeah.
Okay.
Limited at 40. Just looking for, a strong offensive line, strong defensive line, good management, no forfeits, just a good gameplay, just good gameplay all around. I think you got to really look for that and see if the guys really truly want to play, if they want to be dominant or not. You got some teams that, a guy wake up on a Tuesday and say he want to start a team Thursday. We both know it don't work like that. I mean, it sounds good. I mean, it does. It sounds good, but it doesn't really work like that. So I also think that the 2A would also be good for brand new teams. You get a brand new team come up and, everybody says, oh yeah, we want to play for you, and you end up with 25 guys.
Right.
Well, you can't go play the Baltimore Hurricane with 25 guys.
They're going to blow you out.
And somebody might get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But on a 2A level, you got 25 ballers, you can play a game. Some teams that would probably have folded on the 3A side can make it through the season on the 2A side. Now, we're not recommending 25 players, but
right.
I'm just saying that, I remember canceling a game as a commissioner because we had a team that had 20 players and they wanted to play. But I think they were playing the Jaguars or somebody, and I was like, they gonna somebody get hurt. They're gonna drag.
No, they were playing me. They were playing my team.
Okay, that was okay. Yeah, I was telling them somebody's gonna get hurt, so I'm not gonna let y'all do that.
Yeah.
So I think those are a lot of the criteria. Plus I think, and let's get touchy with some people, but I mean some of these guys that own some of these big 3A teams, really don't play too much. I shots fired. We're gonna keep it straight. That don't play too much and really have not had an option to go somewhere else and play. So this is a chance for them to go to a smaller team,
get the experience,
get the craft together, and then hey, look, this is what I really can do. You know what I mean? So it's for me, it's kind of twofold. It helps out the smaller teams, and some guys that's been saying they haven't had the opportunity to get on the field, we're gonna give you an opportunity to get on the field. If you want to play ball.
Well, I think one thing it's gonna do, especially for the 3A teams, it's gonna really play into how you manage a roster. Owners are gonna have to be owners. This will force some teams who may be 3A now, it may push them down a notch or two because roster management is going to become a thing because you are recommending limiting that 3A roster as well.
Right.
And what's that number you're thinking about?
Well, right now we got to set at 55. So here's the difference between 55 and 65. If we're gonna bring in a 2A, everybody with 65 pretty much know. There's 10 that they could take down to 2A. So, that extra one or two quarterbacks that a big team is holding, those extra linemen they're holding, the guys that sit around and a lot of them, want to just show up for the playoffs and play. You got to make more decisions as an owner, as a GM, as a coach. Okay, I got 55 people. I need to pick the people that's going to show up to practice. I need to pick the people that's going to show up to the game. I don't have that fluff in there to just keep some people just because I got a huge roster. But on the other hand is, if you can't keep all those people and they still want to play, now you got some other teams they can go to and play, and they can still be a part of the same league. They don't really feel like they left out.
Right.
And and there's no knock. I want people to know there's no knock if you playing for a 2A or a 3A.
Right.
It's still football.
Still football, yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
So, okay, so all that's good stuff. I think it's an excellent idea. I know we've been kind of hinting at that for the last few years. So it's good to finally see, hey, let's go ahead and implement that. So let me ask you the tough question. Let me ask you the tough question. A couple things went out this week as far as the ECFA maybe merging with the NBFL. let's talk about that a little bit. What's the status on that? What are we doing? Is that happening, or is that not happening? Or what's the moves? Because this move seems like it's a little contradictory to that move. So let's set the record straight on what the ECFA is doing as far as, say, the next 2 or 3 seasons.
Well, okay, so basically we try to do things way ahead of time, and we were putting out fillers for the fall, and with spring just starting, we really didn't get much feedback on the fall, so we wanted to make sure that the few teams that did get feedback for the fall was going to have, number one, have somebody to play in a quality league to play in. So that's how the MDFL situation came about, because we were just trying to figure out the way to secure some games and teams for the few teams that were interested at that moment for the fall to get it, to get it worked out. So we had talks about it, and we entered in preliminary talks to say, yeah, let's, announce, hey, we're going to preliminary try to make this work. Yes, me, I'm full honesty here. There was some pushback with some of the teams. There was I would say in the 2021 era, there was some concerns with the name.
The name, yep.
There was some concerns with the name. Me being a country boy from Mississippi, I mean, it wasn't it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite, but I was on trying to make sure the team had somewhere to play versus that, And if they didn't say anything, I wasn't gonna say a lot, but the owner said a lot. So so what we're doing now is still trying to work out some cross league games.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there's going to be any merger of that type, especially names and things like that. We just need to work out teams and find out how strong the teams are and who's going to really be committed to play. I spoke with the NEAFL, good people over there. We're going to try to work some stuff out with them also. Probably talk to them later on this week. Hopefully we can work some things with them. And I mean, who knows? We're just trying to figure out a way to, I know nobody really wants to lose their identity. So we're trying to figure out a way to please everybody. But that's never really happened before.
That's not gonna ever happen.
That's not gonna happen. Right.
That's never gonna happen. So I know a few things that have been in discussion. Is that the ECFA, like you said, is gonna stay with the fall season and do the 2A and 3A thing. One of the things I know, shout out to Dexter Gervin and the MLF and Vicky, president of the MLF. I know there's some talks about doing some cross league games with them. My team being one of the teams that can help make that happen is because we can be a bridge team. So those were some good things that the ECFA is kind of rolled up into now, and the 2A thing is kind of good. So I feel like you guys are rolling pretty well right now. Anything left besides that? I mean, you guys got the spring season coming up. Talk to me about. I know you guys put up the power rankings. Talk to me about a couple of your spring teams and where you see them at right now.
Well,
matter of fact, let me read off the power rankings to you real quick if you don't remember them.
Okay, yeah, let me have that.
Yeah, let's play a little game. I'm gonna game a team and you talk about it. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Here we go. DMV Knights.
They just tend to drag people.
Okay.
I mean, it's like if you're not coming to play football, don't put them on the schedule.
Okay. Next team, rapid fire, RVA Tomahawks.
I will say that they got next.
They got next. Good one. Virginia Cyclones. It's a good one.
They scared me. I don't. When I played, they scared me. They never beat us, but it was always rough. They're a tough team. You know what I mean? They play tough.
Yeah, right. Definitely. Virginia Skyhawks.
Scrappy. Don't underestimate them.
Virginia Saints.
Always real solid. always real solid. I just think that a top-notch QB will put them over the top.
Okay. Baltimore Lightning.
I think he's up and coming. I mean, I like what he's doing. He's not one of the strongest teams, but he putting he's doing something different. He putting a lot of kids in school, you know. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Woodland Tigers.
Woodland. I think they're a couple of linemen away. I think they have like the youngest core. You know, they got the freshest legs on the field. You know, they just need a line.
DMV Jaguars.
They lost a lot of players.
They
lost a lot of players, but I think they're gonna put it back together. But
okay.
I can say they one of the best. They one of the better ran organizations.
Yeah, shout out to Ivan.
Yeah.
DC Panthers.
Don't know a lot. A lot. I think they're another one of those young teams that are up and coming.
Okay. Tidewater Renegades.
I don't know a whole lot about the Renegades. I think they're one of the teams that will probably benefit from some of the new things we're doing.
Okay.
Build themselves up. Yeah.
And last but not least, Virginia Mustangs.
Always dependable, man. Always dependable. They don't have the best team, but they show up and they play, and you don't have to worry about them, man. They, you know, I really want to see them go 2A and do well, because they fight with the big dogs all the time, and they always show up.
Right.
There's 30 of them. They show up and play the whole game. They don't complain about it. They don't forfeit. I mean, yeah. That's what I gotta say about that.
All right. Well, that's a good rundown. Good rundown. So I'm gonna give you 60 seconds. Say how you feel.
About what?
Anything.
Football wise.
Football, anything. Football wise, ECFA, whatever. You get 60 seconds, uninterrupted. Say it how you feel.
I want to say this. I want to say, fellas, hey man, listen. Ready for the season to start. Hope everybody get out there, have a good time. You know, we don't want no nonsense. Want to get everybody to come in and play ball, play hard. Leave it all out on the field. You know what I mean? Look like we're coming up out of this COVID. You know, I know everybody want to get out. You know, bring everybody out to the game. Bring your kids. You know, your wife, baby mama. Some of y'all got both of them, but we don't talk about just don't set them on the same bleachers. We don't want no problems. You know what I mean? We don't
right.
On the field, we don't want no fighting off the field. But other than that, if you're 2A, if you think you're 2A, you want to come on board, come on over. We got something for y'all.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, Flip. Good to see you. Glad you came on tonight. And I'm looking forward to some good football. And we're gonna get everything posted and tracked.
All right, man. I'm gonna get back here and get my workout in before it get too late.
Indeed. Thank you, my brother. All right.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Thank you, Flip.
All right. Have a good one.
Great flippings, everybody. Great flippings. Clap it up for Greg. All right. So we got a lot of information right there.
Yeah.
Lots of information. New 2A in the ECFA for the fall. I'm going to try to limit the roster some. I know there's going to be some pushback on the rosters, but they'll get it straight. 2A teams breaking off, winning at their level. I guess coming in the near future, you'll probably see some guidance between 2A and 3A popping up. It's a lot to digest. What do you think, Joey?
I think it's going to be very interesting because right now semi-pro is in a position where I think, if you ask me, the sport of football is the hottest it's ever been.
Last night.
And with that becomes more opportunities, and with that comes now more chances for more talent to come into the game.
Right.
And with that, I feel like as it continues to grow, you're going to start needing to have levels like this because of the fact that, we go back to the structure of how professional leagues, college leagues, and high school leagues all work.
Yeah.
You went to a high school that was probably what, 3A, 2A. What do they classify that? When you
I think it depends on what state you're in. You can go all the way up to 6A.
Yeah, like
Like they say, it's like Texas and Florida. I think they got like 6A schools and things of that nature. So,
yeah.
and then you got your smaller schools at that. So I think it goes by population, if I'm not mistaken. But
Goes by
yeah,
population, yeah, and that's another thing. You go back to schools like FBS, FCS, D2, D3,
mhm.
NAIA. That's all levels of sports, and I think it's needed because of the fact that it encourages growth.
Yeah,
I to relate to our European cousin who's also called football, as they call it there. They do a thing in the Premier League where they do relegation based on success and failure.
right,
If you are doing so well in one area, they're going to ask you to move up and see how you face off.
right.
If you're not and all of a sudden you're dropping off a little bit, you
Mhm.
go down because you should earn your way back up. I've never been a fan of the idea, and this is something I always about college football, the idea that just because you were good many years ago entitles you. And I know I'm wearing a Notre Dame hat in Jersey while saying this, but even I believe that just because you were good years ago, Michigan, cough, cough, doesn't mean you're still considered a top tier
Your
school
team,
on
right?
terms of, yeah,
Well, football is the what have you done for me lately sport,
yes.
right? You can be hot one year and then you can be Jared Goff the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, and end up in Detroit. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
It just happened. So that's the game of football. What have you done for me lately? And
And
I think
life comes at you fast, man. It really does. I look back at when the Rams went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and and as a fan, I sat there that whole season thinking, Goff is our franchise quarterback. He's going to be here for a long time. He's going to maybe get us a ring. If he gets us two, great. Todd Gurley was my favorite player on offense. He was electric. He was explosive. Aaron Donald, he's the only, hey, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, respect to those guys for holding on. You look back what happened to Jared Goff, what a hard decline to watch. And you could
right,
tell in the playoffs, they had no confidence in his passing ability.
none,
I
none
mean,
at all.
Wofford had to start over him, even though Goff was able to go. They went with Wofford still.
Yeah. So I mean, what have you done for me lately? You think you're gonna have a guy there for 15 years, Eli Manning style, and then you end up having them for what 3, 4, and you trade them away for a hardly healthy Matt Stafford. So that's how um upset what they were with his performance. Anyway, so last part of the show is called Coach Crow's rant. So I'm gonna rant about something, and each week I'll have my rants. And my rant this week, it's about doing something. So in semi-pro football, there's a lot of people who talk and talk, 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 talk. There's a lot of talk, and we like it. You talk, you get a lot of great ideas from what people say, and you want to listen. But there's these folks who are all talk, all talk. This game is about good people volunteering their time, money, and the players with their bodies to do something and getting out there and being a part of the game. A good friend of mine, good coach of mine, Coach Sean Penn, said it best. You can't win games on Facebook. And you can't help this game on Facebook. You actually have to put action behind those words. So my rant today is put action behind your words. This game needs a lot more great people with your ideas and your action. Because at the end of the day, there's not a lot of money in this per se to be made, but there's a lot of money in it because we're spending it. So for us, let's support ourselves. Let's support each other. Let's go out and get these sponsorships. Let's go out and have these teams looking good. Let's put these leagues together properly. Let's help these owners with their teams. Go out and do something. Have action behind those words. Do something. Don't just say something. because at the end of the day, your words are hollow without the action. So my rant today is do something. We need your help. We need everybody. Appreciate Joey. He told us to put this show together. He's doing something. Just like all these commissioners out here, they're doing something. Elzita Boy, Vicky, Dexter, Chuck, Flip, Bernard, Mike Howard, all the people, all the coaches across the nation, they're doing something. So don't be that guy who just talks bad about this game or says you would have done, because you have an opportunity to do it. So my rant today is do something. That's it. That's all I have for today. Closing remarks on you, Joey.
Closing remarks, I'm just happy we're having good weather, man.
Yeah.
I'm just happy we're having good weather.
Yeah.
Driving today on my way back home. Beautiful.
It was nice today. Beautiful. It was definitely nice today. And it's going to be some good football this weekend.
Exactly. And it's good for the players. You don't want to tear up grass when it snows and all that. That's been a big problem in a lot of states. We're finally out of that winter. We can go out and play again. The grass is green. Let's go out and play.
Yeah, definitely. One thing we will add to the show, because I didn't realize we didn't do it, let's add some upcoming games for the next show, and we'll start starting that out. So, guys, get us your schedules. We'll highlight some games that we may want to see. Send us your streaming links, and we'll try to get those posted as well. Like I said, let's highlight what we do. So, next Thursday, Joey, think this went well enough to do another week?
I think it will. I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Indeed. So, good night, everybody. It's Coach Crow signing off.
Joey Blaze.
There it is. See y'all next week.
See you next week.
Meet me at the 50.